Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something absolutely fascinating, the exact scientific blueprint for explaining common ancestry and biological evolution. If you've ever wondered how scientists actually connect the dots between species, not by just guessing, but by building a rock-solid evidence-based case, well, you are exactly in the right place.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're using a straightforward four-part framework today. First, the claim of common ancestry. Second, the four lines of evidence. Third, the chain of reasoning. And finally, revising with new data.
Section 1. The claim of common ancestry. Setting the foundational hypothesis. Every good scientific argument has to start right here, with a clear, overarching claim. So, here is our core concept. Common ancestry is the scientific claim that the relatedness of species, which we can literally see in their biological and anatomical similarities, is the direct result of descending from a shared ancestor. Think of this claim as the central roof of the scientific house we're about to build. Everything else exists to hold this up. To distill it all down, similarities across species equal the result of common ancestry. That's the formula. Our entire overarching claim relies entirely on identifying those similarities. But, of course, we can't just point at two things, say they kind of look alike, and call it a day. That perfectly tees up our need for hard empirical proof. Which brings us to Section 2, four lines of evidence, the pillars supporting the claim. This is where we gather the actual clues to prove our point. According to the standard, there are four specific lines of empirical evidence we need to construct our explanation: molecular biology, embryology, comparative anatomy, and the fossil record. These are the four massive pillars that will hold up that roof we just talked about. Let's break them down. Now, what's really interesting about this first concept is what happens when we zoom way, way down to the microscopic level. We're talking about similarities found in DNA sequences, genes, proteins, and amino acid sequences. By examining life at this incredibly high resolution, we can map out relatedness. The more similar the biological code, the closer the shared ancestry. It's literally like finding a shared biological blueprint hidden deep inside the cells. Next up is embryology, where we contrast fully formed organisms with their embryonic stage. Now, a human, a bird, and a fish look totally distinct when they're fully grown. Actually, scratch that. They look completely different. But look at them as developing embryos, and you'll find striking, hidden similarities. For example, early human embryos actually have gill-like structures. These temporary stages reveal an unmistakable ancestral echo. Our third pillar is comparative anatomy, and a huge part of that is vestigial structures. These are anatomical features that exist in an organism but serve no apparent purpose anymore. Think of the pelvic bones in whales, or even your own tailbone. They act as historical artifacts. Along with homologous structures, which are features that share a similar layout across species, like the bone structure of a bat's wing matching a human arm. These vestigial structures make up the comparative anatomy pillar of our evidence. Finally, we look at the Earth itself. The fossil record gives us actual, physical, geological patterns. By examining the presence and the specific geographic locations of fossils, scientists can make direct historical inferences. They can literally trace the lines of evolutionary descent from multiple specimens backward through time. It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle buried in the dirt. Now, if you're looking at all these pillars and feeling a bit overwhelmed, I want to reassure you. Consider this explicit boundary statement from the standard. Students are not expected to recall lines of evidence for specific species. So, take a breath. You don't need to memorize endless trivia about the exact DNA sequence of a fruit fly or the specific fossil layers of a horse. What matters is that you conceptually understand how this evidence supports the claim. Section 3. The chain of reasoning. Connecting the clues to the claim. Because evidence alone isn't enough, we need logic to tie it all together. Think about it for a second. How do these isolated patterns, a bone here, a DNA sequence there, actually prove biological evolution? We have to actively bridge that gap between gathering random data and applying rigorous scientific reasoning. So, the crucial point is mastering this specific chain of cognitive reasoning. Step 1, observe the patterns in DNA, embryos, anatomy, and fossils. Step 2, identify the causal relationships from these patterns. Realizing it's not just a coincidence. One thing actually leads to another. And step 3, communicate and connect each line of evidence directly to the overarching claim of common ancestry. You are basically weaving the threads from our four pillars up to the roof. And what's really great about this framework is its adaptability. You can describe this reasoning through a bunch of acceptable formats: written, oral, pictorial, or even kinesthetic. Whether you draw a diagram, speak it out loud, write an essay, or build a physical model, the underlying logic remains exactly the same. The medium might change, but the science stays rock solid.
Section 4. Revising with new data. Science is a living document. A true scientific explanation is never rigidly fixed.
And this brilliantly illustrates how dynamic science really is. We receive a constant stream of new evolutionary data, from fresh empirical field investigations, new mathematical models, evolving theories, and advanced computer simulations. The information never stops flowing, and we have to be ready to integrate it. When that new data arrives, we enter this awesome iterative cycle. First, we receive the new data or information. Second, we revise our ongoing explanation of common ancestry to incorporate what we've just learned. And third, we justify that revision using the new evidence. We don't just blindly change our minds on a whim. We methodically prove exactly why the explanation needs an update. It's this continuous process of refinement that makes science so incredibly robust.
We've set the claim, raised the pillars of evidence, and tied the whole shebang together with reasoning. But I want to leave you with this final thought. As our tools for empirical investigation continue to evolve at lightning speed, how will our explanations of biological history change next? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Keep asking those big questions and keep